94.9 The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a hot and beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. As you can tell, we are not at the Fordyce Center. They've got a big week of hockey development camps that will culminate Saturday with, I guess you would call it, an inter-squad scrimmage. Apparently, we are going to get a rare public appearance from Kelly Holcomb today around 4:40. God bless him for that. And let's check in with Billy Derrick, who joins us from his abode. Hello, Billy.
Hello, George. Yeah, Kelly's going to be checking in. He said he wanted to check in, so we'll follow up with that.
As you know, we have a stat of the day each day, and you seem to take great pleasure when we look like fools.
Mm-hmm.
So today, turnabout is fair play. You ready?
Here we go.
So just moments ago, within the last 5 minutes, Trey Turner of the Philadelphia Phillies stole his 300th career base. How many players in Major League history have stolen 300 bases?
How
Good
many
guess.
others?
Yes.
3 others.
3 people total.
No,
in Major League Baseball.
3 others outside of Trey Turner, so 4.
The answer, Billy, is 170. Your guess is pathetic.
What?
It's inexcusable.
You're kidding.
Well, think about base stealers that have had 100 in a year. Maury Wills, Lou Brock, Ricky Henderson. Come on.
I will say that was a bad guess.
This will be reported to Kelly, who will take this up with the executive council. So I'm already in a good mood because you have taken on some early water. My goodness.
Where did you get that one? Did somebody stump you with that one today and you decided to take it out on me?
No, here's what happened. I had on the TV here in the dreaded rec room, the end of the Phillies Padres game.
Mm-hmm.
And the Padres stupidly allowed Trey Turner to steal a base that really was not contested at all, which got the tying run into scoring position. And then the Padre reliever, Suarez, just blew Kyle Schwarber away. But they brought it up, and I thought, this is a good way to embarrass Billy.
How about we do this? We give that one to Kelly when he comes on at 4:40. See how much worse his guess is than mine.
Oh no, his will be a lot better than yours.
You gotta admit that's not an easy question, though. It could have been 50, could have been 150.
Yeah, but it could not be 4.
Yeah, that was
4
pretty,
is
that was
4
pretty
is
pathetic.
an inexcusable, pathetic answer.
It's hard to debate that.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes. Anyway, I've been
We're gonna
working
have fun.
hard.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I've been working hard on this update today.
Yeah,
and it's all brought to you by X Golf right here in Nashville. They've got a new location in Franklin as well. You can find them out there at 209 South Royal Oaks. Step into the future of golf with X Golf. Experience the most accurate golf simulator and elevate your game like never before. Book your tee time now at playxgolf.com. Also, don't miss out on their restaurant and bar. Fuel your game with ice-cold beers on tap, craft cocktails, fine wines, and a menu packed with shareable bites. Again, tee times at playxgolf.com. All right. We're going to start with some college basketball news. What are you laughing at?
Lewis Maddox former plaster intern has just arrived with a new mustache.
Oh, isn't that special?
It's very special.
That's. I'm sure he's glad you're laughing at him.
I'll keep my thoughts to myself.
All right.
The answer is 170.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna get Kelly on that.
He'll come a hell of a lot closer than you did.
Well, he doesn't have very many to go.
God, if he doesn't, he will get ripped.
Yeah. Okay, Zakai Ziegler has dropped his federal appeal to gain a 5th year of eligibility, but the lawsuit will continue locally. His attorneys filed a dismissal of the appeal of the ruling that denied a preliminary injunction that would have allowed him to play another season. His attorney said, while we had hoped to see Zakai back in the orange and white, he's embracing the next chapter of his basketball career with optimism and resolve. We remain committed to pressing his case forward in the trial court, where the core legal issues remain very much alive. And
well, what's the point? I mean, are they trying to play Good Samaritan for the rest of the college world?
I'm wondering the same thing. It's probably that, to continue fighting. But I mean, the fact that Ziegler has already dropped the appeal, what will this have to do with anything? Like, what are you proving at that point if you can't, if you're not able to actually get a win?
This seems like a court clogger.
Yeah, I don't get this. And obviously, as soon as Ziegler decided he was going to play in the summer league with the Pistons, we knew he was going to drop his appeal. So that one is done finally, officially.
I wonder if the judge tells his lawyers, "Don't waste my time."
I would. I mean, I don't.
Maybe. Interesting.
Also in Tennessee news, John Wilkerson, the legendary radio voice of Tennessee baseball, is being inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame as part of this year's class. And it was a cool surprise this morning. Bob Kessling popped onto his radio show this morning on the Sports Animal in Knoxville and announced the news. So congrats to John Wilkerson. He is a legend.
And you're telling this to me?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm a board member. I will help induct John on Saturday, July 26th, in a ceremony on the campus of Battleground Academy. And Billy, I will be emceeing the ceremony. So
Good for you.
Yeah. I'm kind of excited about it, though. I mean,
that'll be fun.
3 years ago, they surprised me beyond my wildest dreams. It's an unbelievable honor. My congratulations, all seriousness, all kidding aside, to John Wilkerson. And I hope that for him, this is as meaningful as it was for me. And I'll tell you, it's pretty exciting to get to MC at a place that I love the way I love BGA. That's
cool.
Yeah.
In baseball, the Nightmare Braves season continues with Spencer Schwellenbach is now on the IL with a fractured elbow.
Okay, hold on, Billy. For those who are watching, okay, and they can see some of what's in here. There's a big. I have a big deal from the 91 worst to first Atlanta Braves. And I can tell you that this season doesn't feel anything like that. And in fact, it is now the baseball season of my discontent. Thank you.
Schwellenbach felt it on Sunday after his start on Saturday against the Phillies. It's a small fracture, but he won't throw for 4 weeks. The hope is he'll be back in September, but of course it probably won't matter at that point. Also, as expected, Alex Verdugo has been designated for assignment by the Braves to create a roster spot for Jurickson Profar, who, again, they're not making the playoffs, but if they were to make the playoffs, he would not be eligible for the playoffs. So a couple of Braves notes.
Well, hold on. Let me take this a little bit farther, Billy. I think the significance of what's gone on is the fact that if anybody didn't believe it already, the Braves will be sellers at the trade deadline. What does that mean? Probably means Marcell Ozuna will get traded somewhere. It likely means Raisel Iglesias gets traded somewhere. I don't know who else, as I think about what pieces they have. Those are the two that are obvious to me that that will go.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers certainly won't be sellers at the deadline. Shohei Ohtani reached 30 homers for the 5th straight season as the Dodgers beat the White Sox last night. He tied Cody Bellinger in 2019 for most home runs before the All-Star break in Dodgers history. He joins Cal Raleigh in Seattle and Aaron Judge with the Yankees as players with at least 30 homers by the All-Star break. And this is just the 5th season that 3 players have reached the 30-homer threshold before the break. So really good season for 3 players, really special seasons for those 3 guys. And this is Ohtani's 3rd year hitting at least 30 home runs before the break. That ties Ken Griffey Jr. for the 3rd most in MLB history. Is that any good?
That's fairly good.
God.
Thank you.
Yes. Also, we got some Heisman Trophy odds in college football announced from Circa Sports. Leader in the clubhouse, Texas quarterback Arch Manning at 5-1 odds. You've got LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier at 8-1. Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik at 9-1. And you've also got Drew Aller from Penn State in there, Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State up there, and DJ Lagway is pretty high up there as well at 17-1. So there's a look at your Heisman odds. I don't know. I mean, right away, it's kind of a tough list. I mean, if Arch Manning has as good of a season as Paul Feinbaum thinks he's going to have, it'll probably be Arch Manning. And I wanted to clip this out, but Feinbaum, I think it was either this morning or yesterday morning, was on First Take and said that Arch Manning is the best college quarterback since Tim Tebow.
I think we need to cool our jets on that, because the truth of it is he might be. And if he is, the people that are saying it, good for them. But it seems a little early to be saying that, because how much have we really seen of him?
We've seen him against Mississippi State. We've seen him against, I forget who they played in one of the non-conference games last year where he played. It might have been Louisiana Monroe or somebody like that. And then he came in relief a couple of times. But yeah, I mean, let's get a full season out of him first before we crown Arch Manning. I think he's going to have a really good year, but
I think, look, my gut feeling is he's going to be a really good football player, but we have not seen enough of him to just run out and crown him. I mean, I think even his own family would probably say, let's cool the jets a little.
We've got some NBA news
and hope that he doesn't end up with the Jets.
Yeah, I don't think they would let that happen. We got some NBA news. The Knicks are expected to hire 2-time NBA Coach of the Year Mike Brown as their next head coach. He's a 4-time champion as a top assistant in Golden State and San Antonio under Steve Kerr and Greg Popovich. So after getting turned down by at least 5 coaches, the Knicks have found their guy. So
Mike Brown has had some runs that have been really good. Who knows how this is going to play out, because the Knicks have created for whoever was going to get that job a level of pressure that is win it all or else. And it ain't that easy. If it was that easy, everybody would win.
Well, it may not be easy for the Grizzlies this year either. Their all-star big man, Jaren Jackson, is recovering from surgery for turf toe, and he'll be reevaluated in about 12 weeks. He just agreed to a 5-year, $240 million extension a couple of days ago. He injured his right foot during off-season activities. He is expected to make a full recovery, but it's tough news for the Grizzlies. And, you've got Jaren Jackson going down now, And what happened? Are we still sure about John Morant being a Grizzly?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that, look, they're never going to admit this, but internally, they have had some discussion. He's a great talent who has acted like a complete fool.
I want to touch on this before we go to the break. I know we got John McClain coming up, but in the WNBA championship last night at halftime, I know you know who this is, George. Well-known halftime performer Red Panda was injured during her performance at the half between Indiana and Minnesota. No update was given on her condition, but she was taken to a hospital for evaluation. And for anybody that doesn't know, she rides a unicycle that sits about 8 feet above the ground and balances bowls on her head and tosses them up from her foot and up to on top of her head. And I've seen her at Vandy games. You've seen her, George. She fell off the unicycle, and that's about an 8-foot fall. So hopefully,
oh man, I hate hearing that.
Yeah, hopefully she's okay and is able to get back. You hope she's able to get back to what everybody loves seeing her do. But you had that last night as well. So hopefully she's okay. But yeah, Caitlin Clark did not play last night in that game for the field.
Yeah, man, I hope things are okay. She's an incredible performer. Has been doing this for years, and we'll just keep her in our thoughts and prayers. I know we got to go to the break. The legendary Houston Chronicle sports writer John McClain reunites with this show in about 3 minutes. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
Can't watch the race? We got you.
I can't believe it.
NASCAR lives on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Whether it's 102.5 The Game, 94.9 The Fan, or Sports Talk 830, you can hear it all. Just check theGameNashville.com for the full schedule. NASCAR lives here. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, we are back. This is always one of the really cool things for me because John McClain and I had so many great years together on radio. Longtime Houston Chronicle sports writer, a legendary figure down in that area. And I don't know that I've ever seen an individual with the kind of popularity for not living in our city that John McClain has. It's really a tribute to him. John, I don't know if I'm doing this because I need a loan or what the deal is, but it's true. And I know how much you have loved coming up here over the years because people have always loved you and been so good to you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, George, but it shows me you're still full of you know what. But I do appreciate it. And by the way, the Red Panda, she started professionally doing what she's doing when the Houston Oilers won their last division championship, went 12-4, lost in the divisional round of the playoffs. That was 1993. So 32 years, she's still growing strong. And of course, everybody is hoping she's okay.
John, is she from Houston?
I have no idea where she's from. It's so weird. I've never seen a story about her. You know, one thing she doesn't show you, get on that unicycle. She comes out on it. She goes in on it. Obviously, people have to help her down. I know she had to leave in a wheelchair. She tried to walk off, and hopefully she's okay because there's a lot of interest around the country in what's happened to her.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going somewhere at the beginning that you probably, of all the things I might throw out there, this isn't in the top 50. But for years, you were part of the voting panel, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kind of talk people through the process of a person getting enshrined in Canton and what your role was in all those years.
Well, my role is, because I'm still on that committee, 32 years, and there's 50 of us. That number's fluctuated through the years because you have to have a representative from each city, and then you have at-large members. I was representing Houston, then I was at-large. Then after the Oilers moved and the Texans came back, then I was back as the Houston rep. And it's a year-round process in which we get an initial list of about 125 people. Anybody can nominate anybody. And it's not hard to get that list down to 25. But George, when we get that 25 semifinals and we got to cut it to 15, it's difficult. Then when we have to meet and cut it from 15 to the people who are going to be part of the next class, it's very, very difficult. It's an incredible honor. It's an enormous responsibility. And you make a lot of people happy and you make a lot of people mad. And as long as I'm breathing, I would like to stay on that committee as well as the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. selection committee.
John, for you, what's been the hardest of all those years and all those votes? The one that you agonized the most about?
That would have been Andre Johnson, the greatest player in Texans history, greatest offensive player. J.J. Watt was defensive. Watt's got 3 more years. He won't be an issue. But Andre Johnson, and there's a lot of people here, of course, every time I'd see him, you got to get Andre in the Hall of Fame. And so the first 2 years, the competition was Reggie Wayne and Torrey Holt, 2 of the greatest receivers in history. And Reggie Wayne had the guy that drafted him and coached him, Bill Polian and Tony Dungy, pushing for him. So that was tough going up against them. Finally, in his 3rd year of eligibility, he made it. And that was like a huge relief, because the only other one right now who is worthy is J.J. Watt. And I think he's a lock with that Brady fellow in 3 years to be enshrined on the first ballot. And once it's over, we're cranking it up on the next year, and we have a lot of decisions to make. You'll see an article coming out, Talk of Fame column by Clark Judge, who's on our committee. He sends us questions, and this one was looking at Antonio Brown's numbers in 2027. Obviously, his numbers deserve it, and our bylaws say you cannot consider what happened away from football, but things that happen in the locker room, on the sideline, anywhere else is part of football. And my response in that article is I don't see him getting in anytime soon. And a lot of people vote their conscience, and I don't see him in, but it's tough, especially when you try to justify your decisions and the way you voted. And I always tell people, I'm open for anybody. If you're presenting a candidate, I will listen.
So for those who may be watching by way of podcast, Billy, put the picture back up of the Hall of Fame room in Canton, because there's a little bit of a story to tell. Billy, you've never heard this. When the Titans played the Buffalo Bills, the day before the game, it was on a Sunday night, Saturday morning, John McClain essentially has the keys to the place. And he took me into the Hall of Fame, and we taped about a 10-minute feature for a Sunday night television show that I used to do. John, that was one of the most incredible experiences, to get to walk in there with virtually nobody else in there. And I know you do it all the time, but it's still something special, isn't it?
I've had several things, George, that stood out. When I knew I was retiring for the Houston Chronicle after the 2022 season, my photographer, Texans were playing the Browns. He said, why don't we go up a day early, go to Canton, let me shoot you in front of the bust of the players you have presented. There would have been 8 at the time. And I said, okay, that's a great idea. So we did, and the hall gave us a run of the place, and it was really crowded. And I remember standing in front of the bust for Warren Moon, and this woman came up, patted me on the shoulder and said, congratulations, Mr. Moon. And I said, well, thank you, ma'am. That's very nice, nice of you to say. And the other time I was in there, George, it was great. I asked the executives, could I come in the middle of the night when nobody was in the building and let me walk through it and write a column about it? And they said, well, nobody's ever asked about that, but they let me do it. And I've been in there 50 times, but going in at 2 a.m. when you have security and there's nothing, and it's a cliche, the bust almost talked to you. It was weird being in there by myself. And I wrote a column, and to this day, they told me nobody else has ever done that. And they liked the job because they kept it and they've got it somewhere. So that was an honor as well. And right now, George, I've been working for 6 months on a documentary with a filmmaker and 2 other people called the Prairie View Interscholastic League, high school football in Texas before integration. And we've been traveling all over Texas and outside Texas, interviewing people about that period in which we had an all-black organization and all-white. 12 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame played in the Prairie View Interscholastic League. So we're closing. Our last thing we're going to film is we're going to Canton. They're going to let us come in after hours, and we're going to shoot as much as we can of all those players, bus, and anything else in there about them. So I've been blessed to be on the Hall of Fame selection committee and be able to take advantage of some things. And they treat me like royalty. And that's why, as long as I'm on this side of the grass, I'm going to stay on that committee if they'll have me.
John, am I right that you and my friend, the late Tennessean sports writer David Clymer, kind of got together a little bit, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, about a Bud Adams nomination?
Well, I moved Bud, and yes, that's true. And last year I moved from the seniors committee, where I'd been on about 20 years, to the contributors committee, because I wanted to see if I could help Bud. So I worked behind the scenes, and my idea was Bud from 1958, when he met with Lamar Hunt and co-founded the American Football League, till the merger in 1970. I didn't want him to consider anything about Bud after that. So I worked it hard. I told the committee about how Bud traded the rights to Joe Namath to the Jets and saved the Jets and maybe the AFL, how he supported 3 franchises by loaning them money when they needed it to stay afloat. He was a pioneer with black executives. I don't know if another team had 3 black quarterbacks on the roster before Bud did, and he played an instrumental role in forcing the merger by signing with Al Davis when they wanted to start signing NFL veterans, not just the rookies coming in when they were at the height of their NFL-AFL war. And the word got back to Tex Schramm, who went to Pete Rozelle, said, we better seriously consider a merger, because if we don't, they're going to cost us even more money. So that precipitated the murder, but played a big role. He got to the finals last year for the first time, but he didn't make it, obviously. So I'm hoping that to give it another good run this year.
Billy, if you will, put yourself in that 3-way picture.
Hello, Billy.
Hello, John.
Billy, another deal that John pulled off, it was really cool for me. In 2004, I went down to see the Astros and the Cubs in a 3-game series, and John set it up for me to go to Bud Adams' office. Now, truthfully, I wanted to see all the football memorabilia. And instead, what I really got was the American Indian Artifact collection that Bud Adams had, which is the largest in the country. And John went on the tour with me. John, that was to think that an NFL owner would have spent 2 hours with a dog like me. But that was one of the beauties of him, that while, yeah, he was a billionaire and had more money than any of us will ever see, that there was a part of him that really was just a kind of normal human being.
Well, he knew you were Mr. Nashville. If the team was still if the team had still been in Houston, he never would do it. Bud hated me when he was here. But then when the team moved and he knew how passionate I was about it, he did it. And then twice he came up with me, or I came up with him, to do the Charles Davis Foundation.
Oh, yeah.
He was the only guest. People in the front office said, there's no way Bud's going to agree to do that with you. He hates you. So I figured, you know what? I'd give it a shot. He did. He had a great time. We flew on his plane. And he said to me, as soon as we set out on the first trip, he said, I hear that when you're going through security, you got to take your shoes off. And I said, yep, you do. I said, have you ever had to take your shoes off? He said, no. He said, it's a good thing because so many of my socks have holes in it. And I said, well, you could afford some more new ones. And that was the second trip. He was telling me a story about, he had been stationed in Hawaii in the military in World War II. And he told me a buddy of his called him about 5 years after the war ended. And Bud had started here working on his businesses. And this buddy called him and said, hey, Bud, I got a business venture. He said, you know that island that we took a trip to one time while we were in Oahu? And Bud thought about it. He goes, Maui. Yeah, Maui. What about it? he said, I'm thinking about buying it. You want to put in 50 grand? And Bud go, oh, that's a lot of money. And he did not do it. And he said, if I'd done it, I'd have been wealthy. I said, you're already wealthy. He said, I'd have been wealthier. And so he had a chance to buy Maui. And Bud was an interest in that tour that you got. And most of Bud's stuff is in a museum across the street from the NCAA in Indianapolis. He has a wing. And he had two things in there that just blew me away. He had in a glass case a letter from Colonel William Travis that he wrote the night before the Alamo, which they were all killed, that got out, got back to Sam Houston, and he told them, we're going to get slaughtered. And they were. And he had it. And then he had another one. It was an old chair, really nice, and a quill and an ink, whatever they're called, and then a nice desk on this rug. So what was that? That was where George Custer wrote the night before they were destroyed at Little Bighorn. And I'm thinking, my God, how much money did he spend to get that? And I remember telling him, George, but people need to see these things. You're up here on top of this building where nobody can get in. It's guarded.
Yes.
By Fort Knox. Do something. That's like all the things he had. Houston Oilers memorabilia. I told him one time he had at one of his old Lincoln dealerships. It was packed with Oilers stuff. I said, give it to people. He said, would they want it? I said, of course they'd want it. Just like, remember, it was Tennessee Oilers. At what point are the Tennessee Oilers going to be the gear, a collector's item? Because he had a whole warehouse somewhere down in Franklin area of Tennessee Oilers stuff. Now, I don't know what happened to it.
Billy, all I know is if you ever need to raise money for a charity, the three people you would have wanted, two have passed away. The late, great Nick Hunter, the late, great Rick Region, and John McClain. And John would always be in Houston, and he would give the speech about, you can either give the money to Uncle Sam or you can give it to the foundation. Well, in one of the radiothons, we were off to a slow start. And Nick was starting to really piss me off because he kept saying, you need to give out the number. And I'm giving out the number every 20 seconds. And it's really not working. And he and Rick are getting under my skin. And finally, I said, screw you. I said, why don't you run this telethon? And so Nick gets on and he goes, all of you who are sick of George, call in with a pledge right now. The phones exploded. It was great. Man.
Billy, I got another one for you.
Okay.
George called me on a telethon, said, here's what we do every year. Will you come on and talk about it? And I said, sure. So that's when I made my spiel about you can give it to the charity or you can give it to the government. You don't know what happens to it. And so we were talking and a guy called in. He said, the next time you come to Nashville, I will give the charity right now $500 if we can go to lunch, dinner, have a beer. I said, okay, that's great. I said, I'll bring George. And he said, I'll give you another $500 if you don't bring George. So I met him at the Gaylord Hotel, and some guys gave me a big bottle of moonshine they had whipped up just for me. And I could not find my car. And I think I had ridden with George, parked way away somewhere. I spent about 5 hours trying to find my car after that monumental event. That was the first charity event I did up there at first, and it was great. And I fell in love with the city and the people, and it's all because of George Plaster.
Well, I'll tell you what, we had a lot of good times together.
We sure did.
And John, we did a lot of good for the the Charles Davis Foundation.
And Billy, one time he calls me up, I'll never forget. I was in Tampa, and I'd come on the show while the Oilers were at training camp at Tennessee State. By the way, a big part of our documentary about the Prairie View Interscholastic League, high school football in Texas, before integration, is the greatest PBIL quarterback and that would be Eldridge Dickey from Booker T. Washington
Oh,
here,
yeah.
who went to Southern, and they just handed the ball off, and then he calls John Merritt, and Merritt takes him to Tennessee A&I, and the rest is history. And so that has been a labor of love. And so George calls me, and we had done the interview, and he said, I think I'd kind of like to have you see if you're interested in doing a weekly spot with me. And I'm in Tampa, and I'm hot, and I'm about to walk in my room before a preseason game.
You should have said,
like,
hell no.
And I was thinking that, and then he goes, and we pay. I said,
Billy, you better duck a question in quick.
Yeah, I'm going to try to. John, speaking of Bud Adams and the Houston Oilers, I was watching the Netflix special, the Untold Steve McNair series. I finally got a chance to watch it, and Jeff Fisher was a huge part of that. It was cool to hear his thoughts on that and the perspective of really everything that went on. But when they showed the process of the Astrodome falling apart, and they made the announcement that the team was going to move to Nashville, they cut to Jeff Fisher, and he lets out the old 4-letter word. That they did not want that to happen. Obviously, Jeff Fisher was not happy about that. Is that true that Jeff and the team and the ownership and the fans, like, how were they in an outrage that they were going to Nashville? Were there some fans that were excited about that? Kind of take me back to that move, how it happened, and how people were feeling, because I think we knew how Jeff felt at that moment.
Well, first of all, Billy, they'd gone 12-4 in 1993, and then Bud decides to try to get a new stadium, and they go 2-14. Bad timing. It was the biggest one-season plunge in history. So nobody was going to help Bud with public money when the team was so bad and he is so unpopular. That's one reason they got the stadium built up there so easily, is people like Amy Adams Strunk. I told people if she'd been the owner here, Nashville would have had to get an expansion team. But the fact is that wasn't the case. So the fans didn't like it, but they were very aggravated and frustrated. Bud had gotten the Astrodome expanded by 7,400 seats by threatening to move to Jacksonville before they had the Jaguars, and people thought he was bluffing. The mayor, everybody else thought he was bluffing. They would not even have a referendum to raise money for the Oilers. They did 2 referendums for the Rockets to get their building. They did one for the Astros when they threatened to move to get their building, and they owe it to Bud Adams, because Bud leaving for Nashville scared the hell out of the politicians, the business leaders, and the voters. So they were very frustrated. There was a lot of media people that told Bud, go on, move to Nashville. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on your butt on the way out. And I tried to tell people, he's not losing Bud Adams. He's still here. His businesses are here. You're losing Eddie George, the 1996 Rookie of the Year, and Steve McNair, and Bruce Matthews, and Frank Wycheck, and Brad Hopkins, and Blaine Bishop, going on and on and on. You're not losing Bud. But at that point, people were more than happy to let him go. We thought they were going after the 95 season. That's when I met all the writers like Paul Kaharski, Jeff Legwald, Greg Pogge, Terry McCormick, David Clymer. All those guys were here covering all their games because he thought they were going to be gone after 95. And then Houston, to stick it to him, made them stay one more year to finish the lease. And when they left, it was kind of like you're doing your hands like this, and then all of a sudden, holy bleep, what did we just do? We're never going to get another team. And if it wasn't for Bob McNair, we never would have had another team.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. John, this is, man.
I wish you had more time. So many stories just keep popping in my head. I got one more real quick. Do we have time?
Yeah, okay. What the heck? Let's do
so the first night at training camp at Tennessee State, and they give out badges with numbers for all the media. And here I'd had number 1 for a long time. And so I'm kind of walking around. There's media from Alabama, Kentucky, every Houston outlet, a lot of Texas outlets are there. And so we're killing time waiting on the Oilers to finish with their meetings. And this guy had perfect hair and he looked great. And when he said what he said to me, I knew he was a TV guy because you can spot him a mile away. And he looks at my pass and he goes, "Number 1, what makes what makes you so special that you're number one? I said the same thing that makes you not so special is you're number 240. And I walked away, and that was Hope Hines.
Oh, well.
And I felt terrible about that.
Oh,
For
God.
doing it. But Hope had me on his TV show a few times, and I always regretted it. I could stay on 2 hours. I could stay on 2 hours just telling Jeff Fisher stories.
John, you and I could do this for probably 24 hours.
Well, you pick a 24-hour period
yeah.
sometime, George, and let me know. I love reminiscing like that, especially with you and about the Titans in Nashville and everything else. Billy, nice to meet you. And thank you for having me.
I'll say it this way. One of the great thrills of this long sports talk ride was uniting with this guy. He's the best. John, thank you.
Thank you, George.
John McClain, he probably damn near single-handedly raised an extra $1 million for the Charles Davis Foundation. That is how good those McClain dinners were, and pretty amazing story. After the break, former Vanderbilt wide receiver great Jordan Matthews. He's got a charity softball game, and the cause is incredibly worthy. So I hope a bunch of you will listen, and even more of you will come to the game. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
We're all saying, no, they don't. Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Okay, I want all of you to listen very closely to what you're going to hear in just a minute. Former Vanderbilt wide receiver great Jordan Matthews has a softball game every year, and the charity benefits is an absolutely incredible thing. And so I hope, number one, you'll pay attention to what Jordan has to say. And secondly, I know a little bit about the charity, and they do incredible work. So let's bring former Vandy wide receiver Jordan Matthews to our microphones. Jordan, how you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, man. So glad to be on with you guys talking about this game and the way we're trying to impact these families in a positive way next weekend.
So how did it become, and if I'm saying this wrong, stop me, is it the House of Eli?
So, so Eli's house. Yeah, you're thinking of the movie, you're thinking of the book of Eli, but no, this is Eli's house. So the thing is, we did this game back in 2018 We did a softball game very similar. We had a bunch of Vanderbilt legends from the past come and play at Hawkins Field. Coach Corbin was gracious enough to let us use what I believe is the mecca for baseball in the city of Nashville, Hawkins Field, where the Vandy boys play. And he let us use it, and we were raising money for the YWCA and Amend. And so both of those charities were instrumental in the fight against domestic abuse against women and helping women and children, whether it's providing shelter or just providing some type of aid. Well, going into this year, we wanted to revitalize the game, and I was talking to my wife about what charity we would support, and she brought me Eli's House. She had heard about it at our church. The CEO came and spoke at a women's night, and I was blown away at the tangible need that these women were meeting. So basically, Eli's House is a faith-based residential foundation. They bring women in who are either they have just experienced some type of abuse, trauma, their families are close to the poverty line, something where they're in dire straits. They bring them and their children into the house that's located out in Franklin. They take them in, they give them skills training, therapy, shelter, food, a house, community, and they basically support these women over the course of 2 years to help build them back up so they can go back into society more successful, stronger, and more equipped to handle life's challenges. The heart behind their mission, though, is to keep families together. A lot of these situations that they bring in, these families are in really, there's a chance that they could be broken up. Kids could be going to the foster care system. But through Eli's House, they've been able to keep a lot of these families together because they believe that kids are healthier when they have the opportunity to grow up in the home with their biological parents. So we're literally doing the tangible work of keeping families together. And I love the women I've gotten to meet. They're amazing. Their heart is truly in this. So people that have a hard time with, am I supporting a charity that's doing something? Where's my money going? Your money is going to something real that's affecting real lives and real people.
Yeah, and look, I applaud you for what you're doing. This is awesome. And for what it's worth, Jordan, next week, if you want to plug this again, just let us know. We'll be glad to try to help you. Kind of tell us who some of the players will be in this deal.
Yeah, so it's a cool deal because, the first thing I do is I always get my Vanderbilt squad, and I kind of fixed it, right? So I partnered this year with Tony Kemp, the SEC Freshman of the Year, back in our freshman year when we got to Vanderbilt back in 2010, SEC Player of the Year, 9-year MLB Pro, played for the Oakland A's, Houston Astros, man, won a World Series, just retired. Now he's a part of the Oakland A's broadcast team. I mean, Tony Kemp to me is like in the top. If you talk top 5 Vandy boys all time, you got your David Price, you got your Dansby Swanson, your Sonny Grays. I mean, you got some big names. Tony's got an argument to be in that top 5, and that's rare air when you talk about our program. But what he means to the school, having him on that team and to be a part of this was huge. I got Mr. Vanderbilt himself, though, Diego Pavia, coming out. So if you want to see the guy who took down the Tide, he's coming out to come play. Michaela Blakes, who probably is one of my favorite current Vanderbilt athletes right now. I call her Michaela Bucket. I mean, she's amazing on that court. People drop double-doubles. She dropped triple-triples. Like, this girl is phenomenal. She's coming out. And then we got some former stars, too. Let's see. Trent Sherfield, 8-year NFL vet, plays for Denver Broncos. Oren Burks, Cincinnati Bengals linebacker. He's coming out. Just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. Shane Foster, Vandy basketball legend, John Jenkins, basketball legend, Sidney Campbell, national champion tennis player. So I got me a roster. And so I'm excited to bring out my Vandy legends, and we're going to be playing against the Nashville Stars. And if anybody doesn't know about the Nashville Stars, they're basically a group here that's working to bring an MLB team to Nashville. So we've been working in close contact with them on this. And I was like, you guys want to put a team together, and we'll do it like, how kind of the Globetrotters, they put a team together and they play against somebody. Let's do Vandy Legends versus the Nashville Stars. And so they're going to sponsor the other team, and they're going to be made up of celebrities in the Nashville area.
That's awesome. So the game is a week from Friday night, July the 11th. Give me some quick details on that, Jordan.
I got you. So the game is on 7. So look, I'm a wide receiver, so I'm always open. So it's only fitting that we have a game on 7-11. July 11th, doors open at 5. Right, the home run derby is going to be at 6. My boy Diego Pavia said he's representing us in the home run derby. So the home run derby is at 6, and then the game starts at 7. Okay, we're going to have food trucks out. We got pizza, hot dogs, hamburgers, hamburger food trucks. We got taco food truck, shaved ice, and rolled ice. So if you just even want to come out and get a good meal, we're going to be serving up a bunch of food. We got a DJ that's going to be on site. So the music is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be a great vibe. And we're going to have a lot of activations going on outside the stadium as well, and some games in between innings. It's going to be a fun time. But like I said, doors open at 5. Home run derby at 6, game at 7. You can go get tickets now. We got VIP tickets, general admission, and child tickets at MatthewsMission.com. That's Matthews Mission with 2 T's, MatthewsMission.com. You can buy pre-sale tickets, or you can come to the gate. We'll have Matthews Mission volunteers working it, but it's going to be a great event. I mean, come out. The cause is I think incentive enough to come out and support, because every cent is going to Eli's house to support these families. We want these families to know that we see them, that we care about them, and that we want to come out and support them. But it's going to be a fun time. I just encourage everybody, if they can, to make their way to Hawkins Field.
Jordan, first of all, man, I applaud you for what you're doing. I know a little bit about this charity, and I would encourage everybody to get behind this, no matter what school you may support. Thank you for coming on with us, and just know that next week we'll be glad to plug it again for you if that could be of some help.
Man, guys, thank you so much. Please plug it. Hey, we can put up a set for y'all. Y'all can be like the TNT guys. We can bring y'all to the game live stream. Y'all can do a show from the game. I don't care. Come out. Let's do it, man. Bring your camera guy. It'll be a great deal. And I'm just excited to get the Vanderbilt community out for a great cause. I think it's going to be a really good deal.
Hey, great talking to you again, Jordan. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys having me.
Tell you what, that was one good wide receiver when he was in Vandy. You talk about tough, man.
I don't think there will ever be another one of him at Vandy.
He was for real. Okay, so we've clearly, today's show has a lot of football to it. Well, there's more coming. Terry
Unless we talk about the Yankees.
Well, that may come up at some point. Terry McCormick will join us after the break. I will do better at Stat of the Day than Billy did at the beginning of the show, which was humiliating and embarrassing.
We gotta ask Terry the question as well. I want to see what Terry says.
Okay, you know what? That'll be good. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the information superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to theGameNashville.com.
The password we're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
This summer, the Legends of the West invite you to the Buffaloville Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. 5 museums come alive with timeless Western art, heroic tales, and native cultures. Experience live birds of prey, crackling chuckwagon dinners, and behind-the-scenes adventures. Just 50 miles from Yellowstone's East Gate, our doors open wide to explorers young and old. 1 ticket grants you 2 days, enough time to let curiosity lead the way. Visit centerofthewest.org.
Celebrate Independence Day early. The Memphis Redbirds return July 1st through the 3rd. Enjoy baseball and fireworks at First Horizon Park. Secure your seats now at NashvilleSounds.com.
Want to go big this 4th of July? Go mad. Mad Fireworks. We don't do small. We do sky-filling, neighbor-waking, red, white, and boom fireworks that light up your whole summer. There's 64 locations in Tennessee. Go to madfireworks.com to find the one near you. We got the wildest selection in the state, from family packs to full-blown finale shows, all at prices that'll blow your mind, not your budget. Mad Fireworks. Get loud. Get lit. Go mad. Check out madfireworks.com for the location nearest you.
You enjoy the thrill of gambling, but what happens when it becomes a problem? Whether you want to cut back or quit gambling altogether, the Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling for over 2 decades. We're here to help, not to judge. The Gambling Clinic is a Tennessee-based clinic offering in-person and telehealth support to help people win back their life. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Brought to you by the Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Save big at the Electronic Express 4th of July sale with huge deals in every department. Get cooking this summer with this Traeger grill, just $4.99. Or watch your favorite movies on this LG 55-inch smart TV, only $279. At Electronic Express, the more you buy, the more you save. Shop now and save up to an additional $1,200 on all appliances. 24 months interest-free financing? We've got that too. Shop in store or at electronicexpress.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We're talking Titans with Terry McCormick coming up. First stat of the day, brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, we are going with more baseball today, and here's what we've got. The MLB has a lot of hard throwers this season. Which pitcher currently leads the big leagues in strikeouts?
Okay, you could go down several paths with this one. In the National League, Yamamoto with the Dodgers is one of those that makes some sense. If he had been healthy the full year, Spencer Strider would have blown everybody out of the water. In the American League, and let me see if I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anybody off. In the American League, it's Garrett Crochet. I think it's Crochet.
All right. You're going Crochet.
That up,
You
baby.
are correct.
I tell you what, he's a stud. The Red
He's
Sox have
really
got
good.
themselves an ace for a lot of years to come. So are we now officially into the 4 o'clock hour?
We are.
Like it really matters. So let's say hello to Terry McCormick, Titan Insider, Main Street Media. There he is. Hello, Professor.
How are you, George?
Oh, we've got some stuff for you.
Oh, boy.
Okay. So Billy butchered this question earlier. You will have an opportunity, I have no doubt whatsoever, that you will ace it in comparison to Billy's answer, which was downright pathetic.
Okay.
Okay. Right before we went on the air today, Trey Turner of the Phillies stole his 300th career base. How many major league players in the history of the game have stole 300 bases or more?
Just a random number of how many have?
Well, it's not a random number. This is an official number.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be 50. It could be 300.
anything. That's what I was saying.
Well, yeah, I'm asking you to pluck a number out and let's see if you're close.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of base stealing that went on in the dead ball era. There was a lot of base stealing that went on in the 60s and 70s. Gosh,
Terry,
300 steals.
The world does not want to hear your labor pains. They only want to see the baby.
I'll say 75.
75. Okay. What do you think Billy's answer was?
10.
4.
4.
It was awful.
So I said to him, I said, Billy, just plucking it out of thin air. Maury Wills, Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock.
Vince Coleman.
Willie
Wilson.
Yes.
It was bad.
Yeah.
That was bad.
So the answer is 170.
So I was closer than Billy, but still far away.
Hell, Vladimir Putin would have been closer than Billy. I'll tell you how bad an answer it is. I predict Kelly will be closer.
I would say you're probably right because Kelly can at least name 5 base stealers.
Okay, so this is going to be a different and an unusual interview. We had John McClain on a little while ago, and you can only imagine the level of going down memory lane that there is, not only for the great stuff he did on radio, but the amount of charity work in the name of the Charles Davis Foundation that John did. And so we got into all kinds of stuff in a 25 minute interview that I could have done 2 hours with him and it would have gone like a breeze because there's so many memories with him. Terry, what do you remember at the very beginning? And here's where I'm coming from. I remember that the Oilers and the Redskins were going to play a preseason game in Knoxville in August of, I want to say, 95. And it got out, they were going to play on a Saturday night, and it got out 2 nights before that all of a sudden we're in negotiations. And being, the person who had the pulse of the city, I said, hell will freeze over before we get an NFL team. That was really good.
How'd that work out, George?
Well, not real good. Not great. So what do you remember from right at the beginning?
Well, back then I was in Jackson. So I was kind of halfway in between Nashville, which was going to be their permanent home, and Memphis, which was supposed to be where they were going to play for the 2-year stopover that became a 1-year stopover because of the poor attendance. But I remember doing a loanership when I worked for the paper in Jackson, and I did a loanership at USA Today's Baseball Weekly in the summer of 1995. And that's where this thing really kind of started. When I started to realize that this could happen was when there was an exhibition or preseason game at the Astrodome that was canceled because there were tears in the carpet and it was deemed unsafe.
I remember it.
And that's when I remembered thinking, hey, this thing might have some legs because, as you know, George, and I'm sure John touched on it, Bud had threatened to move a time or two before. I think maybe Jacksonville and maybe Indianapolis before they got the Colts, a couple of different times, maybe even once to Memphis. But it always kind of came to nothing until Phil Bredesen actually had the presence of mind to say, okay, I'll talk with you, but you're going to enter into an exclusive negotiating rights deal with me and the city so that you're not just, using me to call your bluff in Houston.
Which ironically is what the Tampa Bay Rays owner, Stuart Sternberg, is doing right now with the guy in Jacksonville. The same kind of negotiating thing. So when did you finally say to yourself, this is going to happen?
I think once, everything it was kind of a cumulative effect. Like I said, I was a little bit out of the spotlight at that time working in Jackson and really started covering the team in 97 when my guy who was covering the team for the Jackson Sun up and left to take a job in Florida in the middle of the year. It's John Denton, who now covers MLB for the Cardinals. And I know we've had him on a few times over the years, George. But back then, once this thing really started to, in 95, 96, every time you turned around, every few days, every few weeks, there would be another story in the paper or making its way onto TV that was talking about how the Oilers and things were breaking down in Houston, and that Bud was wanting out, and that Nashville was promising, that they were going to deliver, and they were going to, there was going to be a stadium built. But really, when the referendum passed, I think that was really the nail, that really pushed this thing over the top. But up until then, it was still kind of touch and go. But I think every time you turned around, it just kind of, the momentum just built and built and built over from 95 and 96 until this thing really, became to fruition.
My friend, the late, great Rick Regan, probably had as much to do with that referendum passing as anybody. And if I could have charged Rick for every hour that he got of airtime back on WTN, I'd be a millionaire today.
Oh, I got a great story for Rick.
Okay, let's hear it.
Rick story. When I worked with him and the late Tom Squires and, of course, Greg Pogue and Jeff Duncan and some others at Sports Nashville and the Titans Fan Magazine. I know you're familiar with that outfit.
Oh, absolutely.
And Rick, I guess, was going out trying to sell ads for the publication and all, and he was fresh off having, got the referendum passed.
Yeah.
And I guess there was somebody he approached. I don't even know who it was. He approached him about it, and he says, "Oh, you're the blankety blank that raised my property taxes."
Oh, that's beautiful. So this is a point that I believe, because I've thrown this at Jeff Fisher, and he says I'm full of hot air on this. I believe April 16th, 1998, the day that the tornadoes came crashing through Nashville, and one of them missed the under construction football stadium by hundreds of feet. It veered off toward Channel 5 a little more than at the stadium. I've always believed that if that under construction stadium had been leveled by that tornado, that this franchise would never have come here. What do you think?
It would have delayed it. I think it still would have made it here, but it would have certainly delayed it, obviously. Interesting thing about that was, I was in the process of, covering the team and whatnot during that time, and was engaged to my wife. Well, she still lived down in Jackson, and she was coming up for a visit on that day of all things.
Wow.
And so she's driving right past the stadium, and as that tornado is going, and and I'm like, are you kidding me? Driving in this? And she said there were cranes just, flapping in the breeze, like, like leaves on trees. And it was just really crazy. She said, watching all that go by as she passed by it on 65 or 24, right there where everything meets.
Pretty amazing, some of the stuff that went on around that. So I know you're going to throw one of the craziest theories because you've shared it with me. Billy, let me say this before we go to the break. If you've got anything you want to ask Terry about what we've been yapping about, do it now.
Well, I know, I guess the theme today is the Titans moving to Nashville for, I guess that's what you get in July. I got a chance to watch the Steve McNair documentary on Netflix, and I thought it was really interesting how I didn't realize how mad or annoyed, however you want to put it, Jeff Fisher was that they were moving to Nashville. I mean, he let out the 4-letter word and was not happy. Obviously, their season had been going bad, and it was bad. But how did the people of Houston feel, Terry? And what I know, your coverage was maybe a little bit different back then. But what do you remember about the process of getting them here? How the people of Houston felt compared to how the people of Nashville felt?
Well, it was an interesting dynamic because there for a while, this team was basically a bunch of nomads. You had the people of Houston saying good riddance because they were tired of Bud Adams and him trying to finagle a new stadium down there, which he wasn't going to get. Bud was having them stop over in Memphis. The people of Memphis were not interested in having a temporary team after having been spurned by the NFL when the Panthers and Jaguars entered the league just a couple of years before, and having been spurned back in the 70s when the WFL folded and the Memphis Southmen, who were probably the strongest franchise in that league, petitioned the league to try and get in, but instead those franchises went to Seattle and Tampa Bay. So the people of Memphis were kind of antagonistic toward a temporary team being there. And the people of Nashville really didn't get behind a team that was really kind of intangible to them because it was in Houston, it was in Memphis. The only thing they were doing in Nashville was practicing. And when you go back, it's just a miracle, kind of how, they talk about the Music City Miracle, the play, but that whole season really was almost a miracle, the way things just all of a sudden came together, and a team that nobody had any love for suddenly found itself with a packed new stadium, winning games, and going all the way to the Super Bowl.
Without that season, and I know I'm going to keep rambling on this here, but without that season, Terry, and maybe George, you can get in on this too, is the Titans fan base as strong and as passionate? And obviously they've had some bad seasons here as of late, but and they even had a good year right after that 99 season. Without that season, do they have the type of passion that they have now?
Well, it certainly galvanized things. I think at some point, when you win, if you win, people will come see you. If you don't win, they're going to stay at home. That's kind of the way, a lot of fans in a lot of cities, but especially fans in Nashville, for whatever reason, there are other things to do here, I guess. So, when you go 3-14, you see empty seats in the other team's fans. When you go 14-3, you'll see a lot of two-tone blue in the stands and people cheering on the Titans. That's just kind of the way it is. But yeah, that 99 season certainly did galvanize a fan base that had been very skeptical about them and about the NFL in general up to that point.
Terry, before we go to the break, I want you to see this because this is a real baseball stadium and not that museum you all play in.
Oh,
got that?
Yeah, I see it.
That's a real baseball stadium.
Yes.
And by the way, so is this.
Oh.
Yeah. Not that museum y'all play in.
Yeah. Hey, we've got a nice stadium. And I've been to the old stadium too. It was nice. I've been there like 2 times.
I would love to have gone to the old one. This one has too much of a museum feel for me. I'd rather have the Mets stadium. Anyway, after the break,
no, I'd rather have nothing to do with the Mets.
Well, could be. After the break, Terry will espouse a theory that will make you say, has Terry been drinking?
No.
Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham, If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Are you ready to begin? Trevecca Nazarene University. From calling to becoming.
I trained my entire life to be the best. I was one of the fastest women in the entire country. But woke politics made me swim against a man, sharing the pool and the locker room. That's not just dangerous, it's degrading. Thank God for Marsha Blackburn. No one fights harder to protect us. Marsha Blackburn will always stand for strong women, because she's one of us.
I'm Marsha Blackburn, and I approve this message.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
At Wilson Bank and Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank and Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
We are back. When Terry hit me with this earlier today, all I could do was laugh because it's crazy. But hear him out and then react however you want. And I'll give out Terry's phone number so all of you can call him.
Let's not go that far.
No. Let's hear
All
it.
right. Okay. Billy George.
Yes, I'm well aware of my name.
I was just alerting Billy that both of you need to chime in on what you would do. All right. I think we all agree that the Titans might not be good again this year, that they might not be ready to make the postseason. I think the league has already hinted what they think of them by giving them 0 primetime games.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's say that Cam Ward is decent, that he puts up numbers. Let's say he puts up numbers similar to what Caleb Williams did last year as a rookie for the Bears. But because this team is bad, he's not able to elevate them any more than Will Levis was able to elevate them. And they finish with the number 1 overall pick again. And Arch Manning declares he's coming out for the draft. What are you doing?
Well,
I mean, at that point, if you go through Will Levis, he doesn't work. You go through Cam Ward, and he doesn't pan out, for one season, or if it's some sort of disaster, I don't think any quarterback.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm not going to sit here and say that we're not saying Cam Ward is a disaster, but he's not able to elevate this team to 6-7 wins. What a lot of people think that maybe they should get to, those being on the optimistic side. They're a 3 to 4 win team again.
Okay, so the real answer and what you're really getting at without saying it is, first of all, there's no way to know at this point what Cam Ward is going to be or what isn't going to be. And it's very unfair on our end to have this conversation, but what the hell? It's July 2nd, and we'll have it anyway. There are a lot of people that believe that Cam Ward a year ago would have been no better than the 6th or 7th quarterback picked. And the Titans were unlucky in that they became the worst team in the league in a year where there was not a franchise quarterback. Right?
Yes.
But then again, we don't know that because Cam Ward, being fair, could be that. We don't know.
Right. He has yet to take a snap, and it's hard to say one way or the other what he's going to be and what he's not going to be. But let me remind you that last year at this time, there were a lot of people who were optimistic that Will Levis was going to be the answer for this franchise.
Sure.
And they oversold that big time. And you know they are more hyped about the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward than they were about Will Levis. What if they've oversold it again?
Well, the problem, it would appear, if they finish in the position that you've speculated, then probably if Arch Manning turns out, and by the way, we don't know for sure what Arch Manning is or isn't, but let's just assume that the hype machine that it's been all about is for real, and Arch Manning is the second coming. Okay, let's just play that if game.
He's Peyton, or he's Andrew Luck, or he's this and that. Yeah.
It seems to me that even though it would be very tempting, that Borgonzi would have to say, no, we're sticking with Cam Ward. We can get an absolute haul that will begin the real process of building us back to whatever it's going to be when they get in the new stadium.
I think that's fair. I think also that, certainly the wild card in this was once upon a time we've been down memory lane, and once upon a time a very impatient owner that we've referenced before here, Bud Adams, instructed Floyd Reese and Jeff Fisher that they would be drafting Vince Young.
VY is my guy.
Because he wanted to stick it to Houston, he wanted to stick it to Texas, and he felt like Vince would be the answer. And for a short time, he was. Now, the question is, will Amy let her football people do their thing if they think it's in the best interest of the franchise? Would she let them do their thing, or would she butt in and say, Arch Manning puts butts in seats, draft him?
Well, it's really an interesting thought that you've got, because she has become more of a wild card than we could have ever dreamed. I mean, if we're being honest, Sweet Amy has signed off on some of the most really mean-spirited firings of people in the last, 12 to 18 months. And, this is not what I anticipated she would be.
No, me either. I thought, based on how things transpired over the first couple of years of her ownership, that she was going to be hands off, let her football people do the work. But it appears that whoever has her ear has control of the building. And then what you have to worry about is, if she becomes impulsive when things don't work out the way that they're promised to work out, are you going to be the one on the chop block and somebody else is going to have her ear? Because that's the way.
And you've heard me say I worry about this for Brian Callahan, who is a very decent human being. Now, whether he's an NFL caliber head coach or not, who knows? Because you could make the argument that very few coaches could have stepped into this a year ago and made it decent.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. It was a terrible situation, one that had been coming for a while, and Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon, and Will Levis are your scapegoats. One of those is gone. One of them is on the hot seat, and the other one is probably your second string quarterback now after all of what transpired last year. So the question becomes for this organization, at what point will Amy Adams Strunk decide she needs stability and that she needs this organization to be built back the right way? And I'm kind of in the camp with you, George, that if Cam Ward shows you something this year, and even if you have the number 1 pick, then you probably would, trade it for a boatload of picks and jumpstart your rebuild. And then the thing with Brian Callahan is this: if you want Cam Ward to succeed, then you need to give Brian Callahan ample time with him. You need to not have an itchy trigger finger with the head coach, even if this season doesn't turn out to be great. Because the last thing you want to do with Cam Ward is do to him what you did to Marcus Mariota and what you did to Jake Locker and what you did to Vince Young, where there's multiple offensive coordinators, multiple head coaches, multiple systems to learn, multiple this, multiple that, and no stability. That's the quickest way to ruin a young quarterback. That's part of what went wrong for Will Levis last year.
Billy, if you want to chime in, chime in.
Yeah, I was going to ask, just about that stability. It feels like the last time the Titans had that was obviously under Mike Vrabel, and then, of course, you go back to Jeff Fisher. How do they get it back, Terry? Obviously, it's not a one-year process, and if they have a decent year this year, that's probably a good step one if Cam Ward looks good. But what does the roadmap look like for the next 2 to 3 years of the Titans getting back to relevancy and getting back to some stability, as loaded as that is?
You got to start hitting on draft picks. You can't live and die through free agency like they tried to do the year last year. You've got to build through the draft. You've got to hope that Cam Ward hits, that you got to get him some weapons and you got to get him some protection. And then you got to, make sure that the defense can get off the field and help him out a little bit. I mean, it's a long road. It's a long process. And to me, Cam Ward is the first building block if he pans out. And so what you've got to do is try to put as much around him to help him succeed as you can, because that's what you didn't do for Will Levis. You tried through free agency, but there were so many draft misses that really, it was a no-win situation for anybody last year.
Terry, I saw you tweeted something about L'Jarius Sneed. He had spoken to a local media outlet at one of his football camps about a health update. What did he say, and is there much of an update with him?
Well, he said that he's healthy and ready to go. We'll see. We didn't see him at all during OTAs and minicamp, even though I've confirmed that he was there, just not out in the open where we could see him. I don't know if that was because of they didn't want him to ask about the legal entanglement that he's gotten himself in down in Houston, that, could be hanging over his head for a while, or if maybe they just had him working out inside and doing the things that he needs to do to get ready for training camp.
Terry, the rumor was out there for a while after Bud's death that the team would be sold. And I'll be honest, I thought it would be. First of all, do you think the whole Adams family ever seriously considered it?
I don't know. We've been asked that question many, many times. Everybody from the Haslams to John Bon Jovi has been rumored to be buying the Titans.
And Peyton Manning in between.
Peyton Manning, yes, absolutely. So there's been a lot of that. But this group, the family, obviously this franchise means a lot to them because Bud Adams not only founded it, but he was also one of the founding fathers of the American Football League, which is really about the only entity that went toe-to-toe successfully with the NFL and forced a merger. So I know it means a lot to them. It means a lot to Amy. It means a lot to Kenneth. But that said, everybody has their price, George.
Well, if you look, when they got here, what was the franchise worth as opposed to what it's worth today, because it's a multi-billion-dollar price tag now, especially with the new stadium coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth, hundreds times more, thousands times more than what it was when it came here, and certainly more than what it was when it was founded in Houston many, many years ago, George. So, like you said, everybody has their price. Somebody offers you 8 or 10 billion for it. Are you gonna say yes? I guess that's the question.
Depends. Is it the Lakers?
Good question.
Whew. Okay. After the break, and Terry, you might want to stick around for this. We're going to have a rare public appearance, supposedly, by Kelly Holcomb.
Wow.
Yes, and so when he comes on, we will ask him the question. And
Sounds
I
good.
predict that Kelly Holcomb will come closer to the correct answer than either you or young William, whose answer was just humiliating.
All right.
Stay tuned.
I hope
This is-
Kelly somehow bombs it.
Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Okay, we're back in what has been some crazy discussion today of a lot of things. Terry McCormick, Titan Insider, Main Street Media in the right-hand corner. If you're watching the podcast, Billy Derrick alongside. Billy, what are we hearing from
We
Kelly?
got him.
We have him.
Yep.
Okay, is he on by phone?
Yep.
Okay. Kelly Holcomb, in parts unknown, but certainly not in the state of Tennessee. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing? I can finally hear the bump music. That's what's good when I call in. Like when I'm at home, I never hear the bump music. We got some Journey going on. I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should keep it that way because I'm sick of looking at you.
Hey, the feeling's mutual, homie.
Okay, so Kelly, we're gonna toss a question out at you right
Okay.
off the bat, and let me just say that Terry's guess was okay. Billy's guess was humiliating to the show. It was
Okay.
it was an embarrassment to the show. So 5 minutes before we went on the air today, Trey Turner from the Phillies stole his 300th career base. How many major leaguers all time have stolen 300 bases or more?
Oh gosh, George, come on now. Mine is going to be humiliating at best too.
No, just give me a
300
ballpark number.
300 stolen bases.
Yes. How many major leaguers all time have achieved that number or more?
I'd say that's a pretty significant number, correct? I mean, that's pretty high to get, would it not be?
Well, let me put it this way. It's sure as hell not 4.
No, I would say probably 25, 30.
170.
170 have done that?
Yeah. Billy came up with 4.
Yeah, that's a little bit. That is humiliating, Billy. I would never have guessed 4.
Uno, dos, tres,
If
cuatro.
Trey Turner's done it, then you know there's more guys that have done it. So
I knew I could rely on Kelly to get closest with me.
What was your number?
But at least I got, somewhere like 25, 30. You said 4, Billy. That's grossly humiliating. I will say that.
Now let me say this. Let me say this, and I may come up with some egg. Tom McCarthy on the Phillies television broadcast is the one who trotted out 170.
Wow.
On my own, I can't say that I know that. But when you start, getting into the Lou Brocks and the, Ricky Hendersons and the Vince Colemans and the Maury Willses and, you can go on and on. Trey Turner, if you had asked me, I would have said, no, he's not at that level. But I'm going, look, I'm plagiarizing. Terry, it's straight off Tom McCarthy from the Phillies TV network.
Yeah, I mean, I guess where we're not thinking about it is like all those guys that played in the dead ball, the Ty Cobbs and the sliding Billy Hamiltons and all those people.
Shoeless Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, they had nothing else to do because the ball would fall apart, the yarn would come out.
Maybe we should ask Kelly my question.
Okay,
what
do
you
it.
would do.
Do
all
it.
Right, Kelly. We're going into hypothetical world here with the Titans.
Okay.
Let's say that I think most people are agreeing they're not going to be very good again. Let's say Cam Ward is okay. Let's say he puts up a season similar to Caleb Williams last year, where he plays pretty well, but not able to elevate the Titans past 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah.
And they come up with pick number 1 yet again.
Oh, gosh.
And Arch Manning is available. What are you doing if you're Mike Borgonzi?
Let's give it an addendum here, or an asterisk or whatever. And in this argument, Arch Manning this year is the second coming of quarterbacks.
Yeah, see, I'm not we've never really, just because Arch Manning's got the Manning name, we've never really seen him play much. I mean, he played some and he did well against teams that, they were blowing out. They had a really good football team last year. He's a runner. He's kind of fits the mold of what everybody's wanting. But if I'm Mike Borgonzi and I'm those guys, I'm not biting on that. I'm not. I'm going to give – they picked Cam Ward for a reason. They fell in love with him. That's what Brian Callahan keeps saying. We fell in love with the guy. So if you're falling in love with him and you don't have a very good team, you've got to put people around him to showcase his abilities a little bit. So I don't bite on that. I don't go for the Arch Manning deal. That's just me.
So you're trading it for a boatload of picks.
I would, absolutely. I would. I know that you're not sold on Cam Ward. I'm not. No, I don't think anybody's sold on Cam Ward with the way that the Titans have have been with quarterbacks in the last 2 decades, other than Steve McNair, like there's not really a winner there. They hadn't been able to develop a guy. So hopefully these guys can do the right thing with Cam Ward, get him in there and develop him and teach him the game. I think he's a hard worker. I know he's a guy that's overcome a lot of adversity, and I think that's what you want as a quarterback. But if it's me, I'm just I would absolutely get his. If I had the number 1 pick next year, I would absolutely trade that pick away for as many as I could get.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because at this time a year ago, I was the head cheerleader for the Will Levis fan club, and I think the term was relax. It's going to be fine. And you were pointing out certain things mechanically that concerned you. You had concerns, and you were voicing them. And, upon further review, you were a heck of a lot closer to right than I was. So are there red flags for you in Cam Ward?
The red flags I had for Will Levis happened in college, and the same things are happening now in the pros. I mean, he was inconsistent, and he always was hurt, and that's the same thing that's happening now. And you get these guys in the NFL, these coaches, they're egotistical guys. They'll all say to you, "Well, they didn't know how to coach him there. I can coach him." Well, that's a bunch of bull, because the guy is what he is. Now you can make him better a little bit, but like if he turns the ball, it's just like Jameis Winston. Like I told Bruce, I said, "Good luck with that." He said, "Oh, I'll fix him." Well, he fixed him because he traded him. So my whole thing with Cam Ward is you look at his body of work and what he did in college. I mean, the guy threw for at Incarnate Word for 2 years. Nobody wanted him, and he went to Incarnate Word and he threw for almost 80 touchdowns in 2 years, which is impressive. Then he goes to Washington State, he kills it there, and then he does it in Miami. And then you just watch some of the things that the guy does. Like I've told y'all this before. I think what makes great ones into great ones is when the play breaks down, they make good decisions. And I think that's what he does. That's the only reason I'm saying that. Now, can it change? It certainly can change, because the NFL is totally different. But his body of work, to me, was so much better than what Will Levis did in college. And Cam Ward's a big guy. I don't think he's a runner. He can run, but I think he's one of those guys that uses the opportunities to run. I think he's a pocket passer, and I think he'll get better. I really do. But I think his body of work in college is what you want to see if you're Mike Bourgonzon and if you're Brian Callahan and those guys. He doesn't turn the ball over. He don't make bonehead plays. And everybody's going to make bonehead plays at some point, but it's not Will Levis. That's kind of what he did in college, and it led to what he's doing in the pros. Now, is he going to get better? Yeah, he's going to get better with some more experience, but Cam Ward never did that. So I'm excited about Cam Ward, but the future I think is bright, but time will tell because nobody knows.
Kelly, what do you put more emphasis on? And I asked this because I wrote this about Cam Ward the other day. The individual numbers, the talent that he shows, the things that he's putting up, or how much he's elevating the team. Because at Washington State, the team was bad, but he was good. They were middle of the road. I think they won 5 games one year and 7 games one year. Then he went to Miami. He was still good, and he was on a better team, and they were really good. Does that factor in at all to you? The fact that he's good, but the team around him is not, versus he's good and the team around him is good?
I think you have to factor that in. I think, and when people ask me this question, I always go back to Phil Jackson and what he did with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was the best player in the world, but he had to sit him down and he said, "Hey, you got to bring these guys along with you." And that's what leaders do. That's what true leaders do. They make everybody around them better. And it's because of what they do on the practice field, in the meeting rooms, in the weight rooms. It's being disciplined. I think that's what Cam Ward, you've already said the last time I talked to you a couple of weeks ago what Calvin Ridley said, which was really cool. You're not going to get many rookie quarterbacks to say, hey, for a guy that Calvin Ridley that's played in the NFL for 7 or 8 or 9 years, come up to him and say, hey, here's how I want you to do this. I don't know if I would have done that as a leader, but that's the kind of guy you want. So each and every practice, each and every film study, each and every workout in the weight room, guys are watching him. And I think he elevates. I think you have to do that as a leader. You have to be able to elevate people around you and make them play better, because you can't do it yourself. There's not many John Elways out there. Like, I use John Elway for an example all the time. That dude was unbelievably talented, and he brought those Denver Broncos teams. Now, it was a different era. I get it. But like those Broncos teams, he made them play better than what they were because of their leader, and their leader was John Elway. So I just think that's what Cam Ward has in him, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. I don't know if they're going to be very good. I'm like you. I don't know if you can turn this thing around in a year, because they're not very good, but I think you can see things. And I think we saw last year, and that's why Brian Callahan and them kind of turned the page on Will Levis, because he just, like, he's okay, but he doesn't have what you're looking for in a National Football League professional quarterback. And I think Cam Ward has the opportunity, and I think he has the DNA for that. Now, whether that happens, who knows?
Interesting.
Game good down there?
Say that again, George?
Is your golf game good down there?
Man, I played really good the other day. This is the hardest course I've ever played. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Lost Key. It's towards Pensacola, but it's where we stay. We stay in a condo down here, and Lost Key is they call it Lost Balls, because it's Florida. And if you don't hit it straight in the fairway, you're in trouble. So I played Saturday. We played down here, and I shot a 76. Best round I've ever had here. And then today, could not find the fairway, and I was abysmal. So, yeah, it's awful. It's so frustrating. I'm still frustrated.
How many balls would George have had to bring down there?
Oh, I bring extra balls for the guys, because you can lose. Like, you can hit a great shot, and if it's really hard, like the course is in pristine shape right now, but like if it gets hot and hard, you can hit it in the middle of fairway and it'll roll out, and you can't find it. It's amazing. But George would go through 2 dozen of balls.
Kelly, I've got a different way that I've started scoring my golf game.
How's that?
If I go out and play and I lose 4 balls and I find 2 others while I'm searching for those 4, I consider that -2.
-2. George would absolutely lose 2 dozen balls here. No doubt.
Whatever.
He only hits it 150 yards, so he might, that's his driver. I can outdrive George with my 9-iron.
Well, la-di-da. Why don't you get back to town?
George, have you started hitting at the ladies' tees yet?
No, but it's certainly a thought. This has really been riveting to have you on today.
Well, I'm sure it has. I'm sure people are just excited beyond anything.
To what did we owe this?
I don't know. I just thought I wasn't doing anything right now. I was going to come on for the whole day, and Billy, he thinks he's got the red pen a lot of times. George, you need to handle that, by the way. But he said, why don't you just call in at 4:40? I was going to do the whole day, and he said, why don't you just call in at 4:40? So I was like, okay, whatever.
So he made an executive decision.
He did without the director, approving
directing.
Of it.
Yeah, well, there'll be a July 3rd memo come out about that. Hey,
nice.
Kelly, thank you. Happy 4th of July to you and your family.
Yes, sir. Y'all too, man. Y'all be good.
And Terry, happy 4th of July to you and your family.
Thanks, George. Same to you.
Will you be watching fireworks, and where?
At some point, I'm sure. I'm not a fireworks guy. If you've seen one fireworks show, you've seen them all.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Come on, Terry.
That's as American as apple pie and Chevrolet.
Sure. All right. Let's put it this way. We made the mistake of going to Disney World when the kids were young on the 4th of July. Most crowded place I think I've ever been in. Maybe the only thing that comes close was when we were riding the subway out to the stadium last year going to the World Series. But then at Disney, they have a parade every day. Every evening around 6 or 7 o'clock, they have a parade. Well, it's the 4th of July. So it's a big parade, and it's fireworks and all that. And I told the family, I said, if you've seen one fireworks show, you've seen them all. Let's go ride rides. We rode Space Mountain twice with no wait. Because we punted the fireworks.
Good Lord. I don't know. That sounds communist.
No, that's America is about choice and individualism. That was my choice, and it was
great.
A good one.
Great. Hey, thank you for doing this.
All right, have a good one.
Happy 4th to you. Okay,
You too.
Guess what comes up, Billy, after the break?
I'm not sure.
Really? You've been doing this now for 3 years. What the hell's wrong with you? Figure it out. Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next. Not one pick, but two. Stay tuned. This is 94.9 The Fan.
Looking for your favorite sports?
How about sports? You follow sports?
We probably have it. Just log on to the Information Superhighway. Oh, they don't call it that anymore?
To start, press any key. Where's the any key?
Head to thegamenashville.com.
The password. We're in.
You'll find what time your game starts and what station it's on.
Oh, they have the internet on computers now.
That's what's up. Your sports live here.
What an age we live in.
On the Game Nashville Sports Network.
Announcing an event for everyone who's been thinking about adopting a lovable little puppy. This is your opportunity to adopt a puppy, and Pella Windows and Doors will cover all your adoption fees and the first immunizations, plus puppy food from Pedigree. It happens Saturday, July 12th at Pella Windows and Doors in Cool Springs on Mallory Station Road. From 10 a.m. to noon, pick out your adorable new puppy on site from the Nashville Humane Association. Saturday, July 12th at Pella Windows and Doors in Cool Springs. See you there.
Get ready for one of the biggest nights in Tennessee sports. The Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame Class of 2025 Induction Banquet, presented by the Tennessee Titans, Saturday, July 19th at the Omni Nashville downtown. From gridiron greats to hardwood heroes, this year's class includes Derek Mason, Shea Weber, Tony Allen, Shameik Holdsclaw, and more. Celebrate the legends who shaped Tennessee's sports story. Tickets and tables are going fast. Reserve yours now at tshf.net.
This summer, the Legends of the West invite you to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. 5 museums come alive with timeless Western art, heroic tales, and native cultures. Experience live birds of prey, crackling chuck wagon dinners, and behind-the-scenes adventures. Just 50 miles from Yellowstone's East Gate, our doors open wide to explorers young and old. One ticket grants you 2 days, enough time to let curiosity lead the way. Visit centerofthewest.org.
Game day is not the same without your crew, your grill, and the boldest 4 in the game. Black Sheep Tequila, Nashville born, crafted by local rebel and a master from Jalisco, Mexico. Pure agave aged in Tennessee whiskey barrels. Old world craft for modern legends. Available at top bars and retailers. Make your next kickoff unforgettable. I am a Black Sheep. Drink like an original. Best in world tequila. Follow at blacksheeptequila.com. Must be 21 and over. Please drink responsibly.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Wednesday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. We take a look at what happened last night, and it's a voided bet. That game got rained out.
Yeah.
So one last chance to get to 500.
There
or
was
I guess
a lot
two
of
more.
Yeah, there was a lot of rain on the East Coast. There were about 3 games that got called before they ever threw a pitch, and the Mets was one of them. So the Mets are in a doubleheader today and tonight with Milwaukee. They lost game 1 of the doubleheader, and the Mets have been on an absolute skid. I'm taking them in game 2. There you go. Mets at home, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on there because
Well, they're 3 and 17. in their last 20 games, right?
On paper, it's a really solid baseball team. And I don't know why they suddenly have gone into this complete funk other than their starting pitching. Their bullpen is way overworked right now. Okay, here's the one that will put a blue star around. The Cubs at home at Wrigley against the Guardians, formerly the Indians. Take the Cubbies. They're pretty damn good.
Thank you. Formerly the Indians.
Yes. They'll always be the Indians. Billy, we're done for today. Danny Evans will join us tomorrow at 3:20. It'll be our final show before July 4th. Hope some of you will join us. See you then on 94.9 The Fan.